Good God. This one's for you, Pepper. My favorite move in professional wrestling is, in fact, the pile driver. Word to Coco. Sometimes love is like a slow dance. You can tiptoe around, but don't make a sound. To make a little cello romance. But sometimes love sounds like a fight. It sounds like an argument. It sounds just like a pile driver. Woo! Pile driver.
Let's kick some ass.
What's up?
Hey, what's up?
It's Kicking Gas
With Jesse
and Andy. That was George Gatton with Pile Driver. You might remember from
1980
something or other.
I remember the cassette tape. It had a picture of Hogan with a construction hat.
Yeah.
And Coco
Yeah.
saying Pile Driver.
It was kind of like the precursor to Wrecking Ball by whatever fucking name.
Precursor.
Sure.
Let's get right into it. We got a very special guest today. Is Big Frank. Frank, how do you say your last name?
What's up, guys? Budelewski.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Jesus. I figured because Frank has no idea what he's doing. So, why don't we tell him about the podcast and then we can talk about Frank.
Sure.
Basically, my name's Jesse. I wrestle on Impact Wrestling as Braxton Sutter. Independence for a long time as Pepper Parks. And Andy here plays guitar
in a band called Every Time I Die. And
for almost 20 years.
Yeah.
Right?
20 years. Touring for 25 or some shit like that.
Yeah.
So,
like Andy's a big fan of wrestling. I'm a big fan of music. So,
awesome.
we cross the two worlds over. And then we also like to talk about fitness and movies.
Yeah.
And all kinds of shit.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's I guess today is like our first non-wrestling guest.
Yeah.
Well, Wes kind of, but
And Mitch.
oh,
Not
yeah.
a wrestling music guest.
There you go.
Yeah. So, Frank, this is huge for us, man. Thank you.
Like,
Thank you for taking the
Thanks
time.
for having me. Absolutely.
Yeah.
What,
and that's like,
And I even have a little bit of a wrestling tie because I told you in 2003 I was supposed to be on Tough Enough
that
that's
was
awesome.
on MTV.
Yeah.
Was that the first one?
That was season 3, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Season 3. Yeah.
Was
it was the last year they had it on MTV.
Was that when they did it? Like the tryouts were on the beach and like all that stuff. Or what did they?
Well,
And I think
they
it might have
had
been
tryouts, but when they ran the tryouts, people already knew that they were going to be in.
Yeah.
There was kind of like
that happens a lot.
Yeah, I think that happens a little bit in wrestling.
Yeah.
When they know what's going to happen.
Somewhat.
But anyway, yeah. So Les Thatcher, he made a couple calls, and Pat Patterson, everyone kind of got involved, and they were going to bring me in, and I was given an ultimatum back then by my significant other. And it was like have a family or
real life
or be a wrestler, and I made my choice, but looking back, everything kind of worked out for me. I wound up turning pro in bodybuilding.
Yeah, you're doing all right.
Did pretty good.
Yeah.
Did pretty good.
Can I give my outside? I want to give my opinion. So Big Frank's like one of those dudes. This is the first time him and I are meeting. At least I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Like Big Frank in the city of Buffalo is like that dude that everybody knows.
Yeah, like if you're like, oh, you know,
I
Big
don't-
Frank.
It's
and
funny.
it's just
People
like-
tell me that, and it's so surreal to me.
Yeah, and it's just like by way of different people, they're just like, oh, you know Big Frank? No, I don't know Big Frank. Oh man, blah blah blah, and then like you never hear anything bad.
Yeah.
It's just always like, do you know Big Frank?
Yeah.
Do you know Big Frank? And he's just like as not to pump your head up, he's kind of like a Buffalo legend, like lore about Big Frank, and like
Crazy.
it's just, but it's it's
cool
for me
It's
on the
super
outside.
cool.
It was just like, oh man, I'm sitting here with Big Frank. This is like crazy.
Dude, that's so funny.
I went to the gym with your brother for like the longest time, and he always used to talk about because he would ask me about meal prep, and he's like, yeah, my brother's really into it, and da da da, and he does this, and then we just did the arm wrestling thing a week ago, and I was like, oh, I didn't know Big Frank was your brother. Like,
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah, it was like two worlds coming together.
Yeah.
What are your stats exactly? Like, how tall are you?
I'm 6'4".
Yeah, how much you weighing right now?
The day of the wrestling competition, I was 353 in the morning.
Wait, the arm wrestling competition?
Yeah.
How much?
I was 353. So, yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And everyone wants to know, everyone's favorite question, how big your arms? So 26.
26 arms?
inches,
Yeah.
That's legit.
Yeah.
What's the biggest you've been, like, weight wise?
I pushed like 365. I was really close coming up on 370. I kind of go up and down though.
Like
it all depends on what my goal is.
In a good way though? Mm-hmm. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. I very rarely really plump out the way I did years ago, and I'm sure you're probably going to want to get into
That's
that.
what I was, because I was trying to find a way to not, like, get it when because now you got hurt a while back, right?
1991, I was in a car accident at 85 miles per hour. I had a scholarship to play football. Thought I was going to go pro. Some pro teams actually, some scouts and whatever, already started talking to me. And Abe Amowski used to work for the Bills.
How old were you?
He always followed me.
How old were you at the time?
18.
Oh, shit.
So, yeah. So we came back, and I got into the car with a... Back then, no one ever talked about drinking and driving.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
You never saw anything back then.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess he had drinking a little bit too much, but, seemed fine. As a matter of fact, on the way out to the pier, we stopped at 7-Eleven, got another six-pack,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? But we just weren't thinking, you know what I mean? We weren't thinking. And on the way back, he lost control of the car, and we got into a crash, and then I couldn't move for 6 years. Lost everything. Yeah, I wound up going through operation after operation. Literally couldn't move. I mean, I was like a cripple.
Like the pictures of him back then are nuts. Like,
you wouldn't even recognize me.
You blew up like fat, pretty much.
I blew up because my metabolism shut right down, because I was always an athlete. And then with a mixture of the pain pills that they were giving me, and I got so depressed, I just started drinking my face off, and I was shot. And then
for 6 years?
And that just made me worse. Yeah, 6 years. Dude. And then I got
that's all your low 20s, like 21, 22.
Yep. The time when everyone's having fun, I was shot.
Yeah.
I wrote off all my friends. I secluded myself, and then I got to a low point where I was like, I'm gonna do one of two things.
Yeah.
I'm either gonna fix my life or take my life.
Yeah.
I mean,
it
became to that choice, and I thank God.
Yeah, I went the other way.
Yeah, I went the other way and fixed myself. Went against the doctors because they said I'd never walk right, lift weights, run, do any of that. And I'm like, well, I'm going to. And the way I saw it was, doesn't matter how much pain I'm in, because
You're in pain anyways?
it's not gonna kill me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
if I'm in pain anyways, I used anger.
Yeah.
A lot, and I lost 145 pounds. Then I started building myself back, telling people I want to compete in bodybuilding, and they started laughing at me. I mean, dude, everyone. My own family.
Yeah.
My brother, he'll even admit it.
Yeah.
Back then, everyone thought I was dreaming until I stepped on stage in 2001, and I won the Mr. Buffalo, and...
Those pictures are... I mean,
After
you've
that,
posted all this stuff before, but those
Yeah.
pictures are insane.
Thanks,
to go,
bro.
like, from going from that to that.
Yeah, it's a very
what I mean?
radical transformation. Everyone's like, did you have surgery? What'd you do with it? No, nothing.
Yeah, it's just where you literally
worked
look
my
like
ass off.
a totally different human being. That's
People doubt it. I post them, and they're like, "That
It's fake.
Look at these fake." I've been on a couple websites where they do like the fake before and afters. I'm
Yeah.
like, no, dude, it's me.
Trust me.
They're like, but you don't have tattoos. Seriously.
Yeah. I got tattoos.
I got tattoos.
Yeah, that dude. That's fucking. And then, so when you were bodybuilding, how old were you then? Like late 20s, probably.
Yeah. My first show, I had just turned 30.
Okay.
So yeah, I had just turned 30 because I started bodybuilding like 27, 28.
Yep.
And I decided to do the show. It was my 30th. The year of my 30th birthday.
Oh, okay.
And then, then there was a couple years later, I met Les, and the DePaulos, they were pushing for me,
Yeah.
Locally and whatever. And then, I made that choice. I just stuck with bodybuilding. I turned pro in 2008.
Yep.
And then I started popping out some kids.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, man. Life happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I moved away from. I remember me and you talking about this a while back. Like I moved home. I moved away from Les. At Les's, I was like, I would have known if like a guy from Buffalo was coming in, but I had left at that time. I left at like 2001 or 2.
Yeah.
So then, but it was WWF developmental territory at the time. So
they had me take a drive just to go and meet him. And
like go check out the school and stuff.
Yeah, and I did. And after, he was like, I don't want to waste your time. And I was just kind of like, okay, well, that's cool.
Yeah.
I figured, all right, thanks for taking the time. He goes, no, you don't understand. He goes, you got a great look. You can talk. You're articulate. You're big and strong and this and that. He goes, I'm going to make some calls, and, we're going to get you on a show. And he said the show, and I was like, what? It was so surreal, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But,
one of my favorite thing about, like, Les was, like, with, like, big guys. Like, I trained with Ray Steele, who was, like, real name Craig Zellner. He was like an MMA guy and football, like, and he was like a big guy.
Yeah.
And like even Ray said, like when he called the school and he was talking to Les, like Les was like, "How much you weigh?" And he was like 270. And Les just goes, "Are you fat?" Like, you know what I mean? Like, 'cause he was like, you know, is it a good 270 or a bad 270?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I love that kind of shit.
That's what he loved. He loved my size, but that I could still move.
Yeah.
You know, he was a little bit concerned about my previous injuries, but not that concerned.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, back then I was a lot leaner, and I stayed leaner. So I was probably around
He was super lean. I mean, I remember
290, 295, but abs and...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember seeing you. I used to work out at the Gold's Gym around us, and like seeing you there, and it was just like, holy fuck! Like you, did you used to like did you used to cover up when you worked out a lot too?
All the time.
Yeah, because
I've never been one to really show myself. And when you go through a radical transformation like that, you have a bit of dysmorphia too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Or
so
fucks,
like,
fucks with your head.
You're like, okay, I'm still small. Meanwhile, everyone's coming up to you going, dude, holy shit. What do you bench? What do you this? And
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, it's just me. And even at 350 pounds, still, like, I'm just me. You know what I mean? Like you say, local legend, so it's surreal to me. It's the way I live my life is, I'm a father first, and I just do my thing. But yeah, you're right. Everyone does seem to think that they know me. It's pretty funny.
There's lore. Like you're like Paul Bunyan.
Paul
Your
Bunyan.
uncle's Paul Bunyan.
That's awesome. You're I mean, we touched on it a couple times already. What was it? A week ago, there was the Buffalo Fitness Expo.
Buffalo Fitness Expo.
Yeah, and you arm wrestled
The world champion. 10 years in a row.
Yeah.
Has not been beaten in 10 years. So he reached out to me because, he saw I'm with 5% Nutrition.
Yeah.
Very good friends with Rich Piana, who unfortunately passed away recently. And he was like, listen, man, he goes, I can tell that you're someone that likes to help people. How would you like to help, like, a sport? And I always loved the sport of arm wrestling. He didn't realize at the time I had already arm wrestled. So 3 years ago, I saw that show Game of Arms.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, I'm into it.
Yeah.
Like, get me trained.
Yeah.
And I didn't know really anything about it. And everyone started telling me, oh, you'll never be able to do it. You're too big. I'm like, what do you mean I'm too big? It's arm wrestling.
Yeah,
I have big arms.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, dude, it's all about ligaments and tendons and this and that. And you're never going to do it. And you're not going to go through the pain period. I was like, well, obviously you don't know my story because when I want to do something, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
So I did.
Like when he said that he's going against a world champion, I was like, Travis Bagent? Like I was like, because I watched Game of
He beat Travis.
Yeah.
So
which is crazy.
Devin beat Travis. Yeah.
Crazy.
So
Devin
pretty
is
crazy.
insane.
Yeah, and then all those like crazy Russian dudes that like, I mean that's gnarly, man.
My
Like
video is going viral right now in Russia because in Russia they're all huge.
they're enormous.
So they love the bigger guy.
Yeah.
And they love that I came out of literally nowhere. Devin was bashing the hell out of me online.
Yeah.
He played it up a little bit, but there was no doubt in his head that it was going to be an easy day for him.
Yeah.
And then, well, you were there.
Yeah.
The first one.
So you guys
Everyone from around the world, Marcio Barboza, dude, world champions and legends, they're like, this is what you have to do. And everyone doubted my strength. They thought, here's a big guy with big muscles, but his ligaments and tendons are not going to keep up. But I've been training him for 3 years. And he didn't really know that until recently. I hit him with every ounce that I had, and I brought him down. It was like a paper away from the pad.
Yeah.
So he pulled out like, I can't do this in
got
arm
slipped
wrestling.
out, yeah.
He was like, so it was an intentional slip.
Yeah.
I hit him so hard, he got way too close. It was a call. It was a win because it was a slip in a losing position.
Yeah.
So no matter what, he figured at least let me lose due to a slip than an actual pin because that would have really, screwed up arm wrestling.
Yeah.
Because you could hear, for a second, you could hear a pin drop and then people just went crazy.
Yeah.
Like, dude, my phone was in my pocket during the match. It started going off. Like, people were like, I'm going to stop the match to talk to you. But they couldn't believe it.
The feed,
people were watching.
The feed was cool, too, the pay-per-view feed.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, plus, a match like that would normally command a lot of money. You know what I mean? And I was giving all mine to Children's Hospital.
Yeah,
So I didn't take a penny.
Yeah.
So for someone to come out of nowhere, donate all the money, have it in Buffalo, New York instead of, some big place like in Vegas or whatever, it had never been done before.
Yeah.
So not only did we help the sport of arm wrestling because this went worldwide.
Yeah.
I mean, it really went viral. Mm-hmm. I want to say like the original video got like 700,000 shares.
Wow.
So way over 1 million people have viewed it.
Yeah.
You know? And now online, if you look it up, all the different sites and whatever, it's already been viewed. The actual match has been viewed over 1 million times.
That's great.
So that just took the sport of arm wrestling and said, look, this shit can be exciting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
dude, anytime I watch like that Game of Arms show, I think it just, I don't know if they promoted it good enough, but that show was like entertaining.
It's
Really?
It's amazing.
I heard of it. I just never saw it.
Dude, it's because like it's not
You
only
can still watch it. It's amazing.
Not only is it like the sport of arm wrestling, but they do like a little documentary
Like
leading
characters?
up to them and stuff.
Yeah.
Man, and like they show like these dudes like real lives and stuff like that. So like it's not. You're not just it's not just arm wrestling the whole time. Or like I could imagine like my mom or my dad like watching that and being like if it was just arm wrestling.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
And that's what everyone says.
Yeah, and then but they like get you because like they're like, oh, last time I went against this dude, like I lost. Here's what I'm doing now, and then they show these dudes, and like these dudes are nuts, man. Like the shit that they can physically do, and there's like it's something different. Like Travis Bagent was like, he had the number 1 left arm.
In the world.
Yeah, in the world.
And
But
Dave
then like
Chafee had the number 1 right.
Yeah.
And Dave Chafee's one of my coaches.
yeah,
So
it's like the craziest thing where it's like there's strategy behind it where like one guy'd be like, okay, I know I'm gonna eat the right, but I got the motherfucker on the left. You know what I mean? Like so there's all this crazy strategy, and then I think I watched like the whole first season in like a day. Where I was like, what the fuck?
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And then they were doing a season 2.
Yeah.
And then a couple of guys got aggravated with each other and they wound up smashing some equipment.
Yeah.
And so
Gotcha.
AMC was like, okay, get out.
Yeah, that's enough.
And then it kind of fizzled a little bit. Like it was on ESPN.
Yeah, there's
the
a
WOL
they
was on
brought something
ESPN.
back.
But what the athletes have to learn, and this is what I'm trying to bring over from the fitness industry that gets it.
Yeah.
You have to market yourself.
What you just, I don't want to cut you off,
Yeah.
but another thing you just said is like one thing and stuff like that, you have to, it is a sport and these are athletes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that needs to, I think really needs to be like, because it is a sport.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
People don't-
So like
people don't
people
think
just
of it
like,
that way.
oh, these big dudes, just like blah blah. It's an
Yeah.
athletic thing that dudes train for. These are athletes.
It's hand combat.
Well,
Yes.
even here,
It's hand combat. As a matter of fact, back years, we're talking like years
about
ago.
X-Arm?
What's that?
You're gonna bring up X-Arm?
No, I'm
remember
gonna bring
X-Arm?
up like medieval times and
Oh,
stuff.
okay,
you know,
yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like generals and people who led armies and whatever. That's how they would determine who was going to lead because who had the best strategy in arm wrestling. Believe it or not,
that's
Like
crazy.
they would have because it was all strategy. It wasn't just
Yeah.
brute strength.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? It's like MMA just for your arm.
Do you
and if
know-
you watch a match, it's crazy.
Have you ever heard of X-Arm?
No.
Oh, dude. So Art Davey, the original guy that did UFC, like the original, like, he came up with UFC with one of the Gracies. I can't think of the guy, which Gracie it was. But he was basically like the guy that had the know-how to get it on TV. And
Yeah,
stuff
like
that.
Solaris.
Like, basically become like a promotion to have like cage fighting.
Yeah.
So he sells his shares, whatever. He started this thing called X-Arm, where it was like dudes like that are attached at the hand. Their elbows have to be down, but you could throw punches and kicks. Dude, you could,
I gotta see it.
Yo, and guys, it's
I
called
gotta see it. I'm
X-Arm.
looking it up.
Because
Yeah.
like they had like fuck, I'm trying to think of some of the fighters that were on it. They actually had like
That's crazy.
legit fighters that were on it, and then legit arm wrestler dudes that were like hard asses that would be in this, and you'd be fucking arm in arm, fucking throwing punches in. Like you'd have to avoid punches, and like it was a certain amount of points
your elbow
for
has to
how
stay
much
down the whole time,
you could
too?
go down, and then you could throw fucking like a cross arm breaker. Like you could go up and like throw submissions
That's
on the
hilarious.
other arm and shit like that.
But
It's
you
called X-Arm.
had to keep your elbow on the pad.
Yes. And dude, there's straight knockouts where dudes are just hung by their arm.
Yeah.
Like they're out cold, like hung on their X-Arm. It's
I can
called
just picture
X-Arm.
that being the commercial. You just see someone hanging off the table and you're like, catch us on Tuesday.
Dude, that's wild. And that, like I said, just going back to it, like to think that to watch these, it's like pro wrestling. We're like, oh, these guys aren't athletes, blah,
Yeah.
blah. But like, you have to be athletic and you have to have an athletic mind to
Yep.
do something like that because there is strategy.
It's chess.
To this,
It's
yeah.
basically chess with your hand.
Hearing you
It's
talk
crazy.
about it, because you had the guys come up from Erie that you were training with, and like just hearing you guys talk, like I heard you guys talk for like 5 minutes, and I was like, holy shit! Like I didn't know like there was like a hook and like
hook and a top roll, and,
Yeah.
and there's so much strategy where you're putting your body, plus the training is the most painful training you'll ever go through.
Well, like because you were saying there, I figured there was. Is it almost kind of like with wrestling? Like when you start taking bumps, your body has to callous over to it, and it's awful.
100%.
So I was thinking the same thing like you. You were saying like I'd imagine your ligaments
Static
and shit.
holds. Yeah, it's all ligament, tendon. It's connective tissue strength.
Yeah.
Which is 180 times stronger than your muscle.
Yeah.
So we're bodybuilders, right? So we're building our muscles. People didn't think I'd be good at it because I would have to build my ligaments and tendons to match my muscle now.
Yeah.
And it is. For 6 months, it's a painful process.
I can
because
imagine.
you're not getting the blood flow. All right.
Yeah.
And where with muscle, when you grow when you rest.
Yeah.
Okay. With connective tissue, you grow when you're moving.
When you're under stress.
So you want to keep
Jesus.
always doing something. So you're literally training all day.
Yeah.
Like I would for this match for like the past 2 months, I've been training every single day,
It's gotta
like
be-
all day.
That's got to blow you up too, man.
It's
Yeah.
dude,
Like-
it just it gets to the point where you're like, if I do one more freaking wrist curl, I'm gonna shoot myself. But but it's the strength that you get because then when you go against an arm wrestler,
Yeah.
you know what I mean. Like people have come up to me in the gym, they're like, "Oh, come on, let's."
yeah.
And I just kind of like hold them, and they're like, "I don't understand. It feels like steel cables." Dude, it's ligament and tendon
Yeah,
strength.
was it because they
plus your
lock or
bone.
something?
Yeah,
Is
plus
that it?
plus your bone.
Yeah.
You can actually strengthen your bone because your bone grows again as you are using it, as it's
Yeah.
becoming stressed,
That's
and
bonkers.
your bone will grow faster than your muscle,
wow.
way faster. Your bone grows immediately.
Yeah.
So once your bone is under stress, your body sends calcium to it to heal over, to thicken.
Yeah.
So it normally takes about 4 to 6 pounds to break an arm in an arm break position.
Yeah.
All right. Some of these guys that are pros, it would take like 100, 200 pounds
Yeah.
of pressure. So they look the same size as you and me,
Yeah.
but their bone density and strength is so much greater.
Yeah. On that,
It's addicting. It's addicting
Oh,
because you're like, I want to be stronger.
Who
You know
was
what
the
I mean?
New York guy? There was a New York guy. He was a middleweight New York guy on that show. Mike something.
Solaris.
Yes.
Solaris.
Solaris. Dude, he would have. I'm talking like, think of a 90-degree angle.
Mm-hmm.
Think of hanging, like doing a pull up where your arm is a 90-degree angle and your body's straight.
Yep.
So like,
And he's not even grabbing. He's doing this.
yes.
So he's using all finger strength to do his pull-ups.
And like he would do it on trees.
Yep.
This guy had like an office job, and he would just anything he could hang off of. He would just put his hands like an L shape up on the thing, and then his arm would be at a 90-degree angle, just hanging.
Just hang there.
And it's
And
fucking
their reps
crazy
are totally
looking.
different than ours. Where we're always, and that's another thing that took a while to adapt to, is we're always taught like range of motion.
Yeah.
Their range of motion's here.
Super small.
Yeah.
You know, try it.
Yeah.
Like you'll feel like your hands are gonna break right off. And if you remember one of the guys on Mike's team,
Yeah.
Big Mike Aiello.
Yes.
He was one of the commentator on my.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's a
Oh,
good
that's
friend of
awesome.
mine. Yeah, real good friend.
Cool.
How I got into arm wrestling is actually pretty funny because I watched Game of Arms, right?
Yeah.
And here every day, all day, people are writing me saying, you know, like, oh, I'm a fan of yours in bodybuilding, right? I'm a fan of your story. I'm a fan of this and that. Just like a fanboy, right?
Yeah.
I start writing the guys who are on the show.
Yeah.
Like, after I saw the first episode. So I saw, like, opening night, and I was like, whatever, I'm requesting them. So I requested on Facebook. I was like, dude, that's amazing.
Yeah.
The most laid back, just average, normal guys that you could ever imagine.
Devin,
Like, I wrote...
Devin was super
Right?
chill.
They're just normal, regular guys, but they're on TV. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It'd be like someone writing you, they see you on TV.
Yeah.
And you're just like, dude, I'm just...
Yeah, hey,
you know,
what's up?
What? Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Thanks for watching.
There was like on that New York team, there was a guy covered in tattoos, younger dude covered in tattoos. I can't remember his name now, but it was like a similar situation where like I followed him on Instagram.
Was it John Heinowski? He was from Erie.
Maybe not John Heinowski. This guy. He was a younger dude. He was like really young.
Blonde hair?
They used to always make fun of him. Yeah.
For being a vegan.
Yeah.
Bigwood.
Yeah,
Bigwood. Yeah,
And,
super
like,
cool guy.
Followed him on like Instagram, and he followed me right back.
Yeah.
And, like, it just so happened that we had like mutual friends and stuff like that.
great.
Like,
Yeah.
I love
So I started talking to these guys, and I'm like, dude, I love it. Like, I'm all into it. And they're like, they encourage they want everyone because
Yeah.
they want to build their sport.
Yeah.
So they're like, dude, in New York, we're a little far. Why don't you go out to Erie? And I'm like, who's out there? And they're like, Bart Wood, Dave Chafee. I was like, oh my God, the guy's like on the show. Like,
Yeah.
They're like
I
an
feel like
hour-
a little kid.
Yeah, they're
like
like an
this is
hour
in
away.
I'm in my 40s, dude. I'm
Yeah.
like, but I go out and they're looking at me like, holy hell, you know what I mean? But I'm looking at them like, I just saw you on TV. So it
Yeah.
was really cool. It was a cool.
Well,
cool
for
thing.
you, like you said, too, being like 40 years old and to do something out of your comfort zone, like people don't realize, man, that can like spark a million things in your life. You know
Yes.
what I mean? Like,
Absolutely.
dude, it's crucial, man. People don't do that kind of shit.
You're never too old.
No.
You're never too old. And, you know, everyone talks about my original injury in 91. I was an officer. I think we were going to start heading into this one, too.
Yeah.
I was an officer for 10 years at a detention max for immigration.
Yeah.
So we had the worst of the world. I'd be in a unit 95 to 1. And let's say it was like the Nigerians. They went back to Nigeria. They got shot in the airport. So when they found out, like, it's crazy because they're an embarrassment to their country. They didn't know that we were the final place for them. Well, every once in a while you get some, you know, dickhead officer the night before that they pissed off. And he's like, yeah, okay, good luck tomorrow, dickheads, because you're going back to your country. Now I'm coming in.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh, that's great.
Yeah, thanks,
You know,
man.
now you get people who want to pick up a charge. So, I mean, it was tough. 10 years, never injured. Bumps and bruises, breaking up fights, you know, riots and stuff like that, but nothing major. I was in training. They didn't have a helmet to fit me. We were doing riot training. My own guy accidentally blasted me in the head with a riot shield, full force.
Oh.
Shattered my nose, sent the bone right through the skin. Broke my teeth, jaw, 3 herniated discs, lost hearing in my left ear, and a brain injury.
Yeah.
So I've been dealing with the brain injury, you know, all this time. So once again in my life, everyone kind of wrote me off saying, okay, well, you're definitely done with bodybuilding. What are you going to do now?
Yeah.
And it's weird because I found this arm wrestling thing, and out of nowhere, world champion writes me. He's like, you know, do you want to arm wrestle me just kind of for show? And I was like, well, I'll do it, but it's not going to be for show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. We're going to do it. We're going to do it.
And, you know, the rest just kind of happened. So I just tell people, dude, there's people out there with invisible injuries. You never know what someone's dealing with.
Yeah.
If someone watches me, every once in a while, like, I'll ground myself by just, like, touching a counter or something like that because my balance will go off and whatever. But you can still do shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's no excuse.
Like you said, because the doctors are going to tell you opposite. You know?
100%.
They just here, take these pills and stay at home and relax, and
Yep.
that's it. Which is no good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like you said, that balance is like a big thing for you, right?
Yeah.
With a brain injury.
Yep. And did you see the guys with the socks? Did you do that little sock test?
No.
Those guys at the expo?
No.
So there's these socks that are out there. They're called Vox, right? I'm going to be carrying them over at the gym. They had me do this test where you're standing normal. They'll tip you over the side because your body goes into homeostasis and you're balanced. You'll actually like them for wrestling.
Yeah.
You can easily tip someone over, right? Well, there's a pattern that is in these socks or these insoles which sends signals neurologically to the brain.
They're like socks that you wear.
Yeah, it sounds stupid, but
Yeah.
sometime this week I'll show you. It sends signals to the brain, which kicks you out of homeostasis and keeps your body balanced, right? So you got these on and you're wearing these insoles. You can't be tipped over the way that you were before. So it gives you a new sense of balance.
Really?
It's really cool.
Is it almost kind of like, remember those things people would wear on their wrist?
Maybe.
Like the magnetic stuff?
That was more so, I think, for pain and stuff like that.
Yeah, your dick tendonitis,
with this, it's a pattern that's on the bottom that, for whatever reason, neurologically, it has been backed by science, backed by medical doctors.
Yeah.
Right? And you put it on, the applications for it are amazing because they got the sports application, but then also someone with a brain injury.
Yeah, for you, that's huge.
I wore them for 2 days, dude. My balance was like 40% increase.
That's awesome.
So it was really cool.
I didn't hear about that.
Yeah.
I did want. We talked about a little bit the 5% stuff. Like you know, we all know Rich Piana passed away.
Yeah,
I don't want to talk about the bad, like just
Sure.
the good stuff. I mean, because he gave you a big break recently.
He actually,
right?
yeah. It was about a year ago. So I was online, and like you said, everyone kind of knows me around here, or knows of me or whatever. I never marketed myself. Even when I turned pro, I didn't care about that. I wrote for other people.
I watched your interview with Rich, and Rich is like, "I found you." He's like, "You had a private account. You had no followers."
I didn't want any of it. I used to promote other people and train other people.
Yeah.
I did my thing, and it was for me. It was never for attention or anything like that. That's why it's surreal when so many people know my name. And there was a girl at an expo. It was the Buffalo Fitness Expo last year, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
She's like, "I thought you were Rich Piana, walk over me." Right? And I was like, "No." And she was working the 5% booth. She's like, "Can I please get a picture with you?" I'm like, "Yeah." So she put it on Instagram and tagged him. All of a sudden, he started following me.
Yeah.
I was like, and he didn't follow many
good
people.
sign. Yeah,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
And he had over 1 million followers.
Exactly.
So I was like, what the hell is going on right now, you know? And out of nowhere, he wrote me. At first, I'm like, is this real? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because
it's a
you
fake
always
account or
wonder, but I
something.
mean,
Yeah.
someone's not going to have 1 million fake followers.
Yeah.
So he's like, dude, you know, I saw a little bit on your page. He's like, I know I think I had 200 followers.
Yeah.
He's like, can you tell me a little bit about your story? You know, I sent him the whole thing. He wrote back, and I posted it on my page so people can see it on there. But he pretty much was like, dude, I'm blown away. You should be a much bigger name in fitness. He goes, I understand that's not your goal, but I do see you like to help people. And I think if we put you out there, you'll have a larger reach and can help more people.
Yeah.
And really inspire. He's like, I'm inspired.
Yeah.
You know, by you. And I'm like, Jesus, one of my heroes
Exactly.
like has inspired me by me. It's crazy. So he announced me that day. I want to say within a day, I had 8,000 to 9,000 people.
Believe
start
it
following me
100%.
just in one day. Then it jumped up to like 18. Then it was 20. It's exploded.
He brought you to an expo with him too, didn't he?
The Arnold.
Was it the Arnold?
Well, he wanted to bring me to the LA Fit Expo. But at the time, I was having trouble. My doctor didn't want me to fly with the brain injury, right?
Right. Yeah.
So I went to the Arnold, and it was probably the freakiest thing ever because now normally you, like you said, I stay covered up, right? Yeah. So I was wearing the tank top around the Arnold, and the last time I went to the Arnold, I think I was on crutches. So big difference.
Yeah.
You know? Some guy stops me, right? He's like, I'm so-and-so. I didn't even really pay attention to what he was saying, but then eventually, like, who I was walking around with was like, that's a writer for Iron Man magazine, right? And he's like, come back at this time. I'm like, all right, cool. So he got my story and whatever. They named me Freak of the Arnold of 2017.
Oh, wow.
Iron Man magazine.
That's awesome.
So I was like,
Yeah.
what the hell's going on?
Yeah.
So I go back and tell Rich, he's like, see, I told you. And that's when he did the story, the interview. We did it at the Arnold.
Sit down, yeah.
For 3 days. There was like, now there's a 4-hour wait to meet with Rich. There was probably a good 2-hour wait just to come up to me, and that was the most surreal thing in my life.
Unreal.
That's cool, man.
It was all people that, you know, have fought through adversity, people with brain injuries, people with invisible injuries, people with cancer. Like, everybody was there. They were like, I drove 4, 6, 7 to 10 hours to come and meet you. I'm like, what?
That's what's cool.
You know, it just blew me away.
Not just because you're a big guy, because like you said, because like you're trying to do something positive and help people. It's I think that's the coolest part.
I think I'd kind of put my life really out there. Like, I pretty much say it as it is.
Yeah.
I'm very honest. You've known me for a long time.
Yeah.
I keep it real. I'm not vain in any way, shape, or form. And I think people they might not relate to like my size necessarily, but they do like my heart. Mm-hmm. And I think they see that I'm legitimately trying to help people. And I think that's my biggest draw.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I'll get mainstream followers that could care less about bodybuilding.
Yeah.
They don't care at all. But when they hear things like me taking the match against a world champion and winning one, which hasn't been done like in 10 years, but that I gave it all to children's and I didn't want a penny of it, all of a sudden, like, 60, 70-year-old women start following me. And like, I started traveling around before the match, meeting kids that we were helping from children's, like that Garrett kid that had lost his leg and whatever. People see, you know, like, I get emotional when I see these people because I was there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't a kid, but I know that as an adult, the pain that I go through and that I went through, to see a kid go through it,
kids,
shatters
they
my
don't
heart.
understand it. Exactly.
Shatters my heart. But they're so
understand.
much stronger than us because they've always been in pain. They don't know any different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just amazing. So anything I can do to help these kids, that's what I'm going to do.
It's great,
you know.
man.
So
it's great.
that kind of builds like I guess you would say, my following or whatever. Just mainstream people, they find out about me and.
Well, I think what you're doing, it's the difference between like wanting to be famous, or like, you know what I mean, like actually doing something, and then, you know what I mean, and you get some notoriety from that.
I never wanted any of it. It's really funny, but it's just kind of happening.
Another thing too, man, is like to test, like, there's people out there like that don't have, I don't want to say like, they just don't have the courage to like you said, like it's easier to just fold than it is to just go forward. And that's like one thing in my, like, for me, like, if I don't have a chip on my shoulder, then I would just fold. Yeah. So, like, anytime everyone's telling me that guy's got a chip on his shoulder, it's like, yeah, fuck yeah, I do, man. Because if you're going to tell me I'm not going to do something, I'm going to fucking do it. You know what I mean?
It's a
and
driving
that's always
force.
been with me. And, like, if I have 6 chips on my shoulder, hell yeah. Like, good. Because that means I'm going forward. You know what I mean?
Something's going on. 100%.
And that's like for me, like, knowing your story, it's like, okay, yeah, man, this dude's holding a huge chip on his shoulder, and he's not fucking, he's just going. You know what I mean? And, like, that's, like, the biggest, for me, when I see people like that, it's like, said it's easier to just, like, give up.
Yeah.
And you could have just been at home just doing nothing, but instead it's like, you know what, fuck
do
it.
something,
Like, if it's just pain, fuck it. You know what I mean? I'm not
It's
dead.
addicting. You can't, once you start, and you start, like, steamrolling ahead,
Yeah.
then you just can't stop.
Yeah.
Then everything people tell you can't do, you're going to do.
Yeah.
Because everything you're doing, you're passionate about too.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That's a bit like with me with wrestling and with Andy with wrestling and music. Like, if you're passionate about it, like you said, it becomes addicting.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you pretty much become obsessed with it.
Yep.
Which I think is a good thing.
And that's like so many times. I mean, this is not even close to where you're at. But like, I played guitar my entire life. And, like, you get guys that come up and they'll just be like, "Oh man, like, you know, like, what? Give me some advice for like being a musician." And it's just like, dude, perseverance, man.
Yeah.
Like, life is gonna fucking hold you the fuck down.
Yep.
And you just have to just get through it. You know what I mean? And then once you get through it, it gets easier when you like realize like, oh yeah, and like so many times I've met a guy that was just like, oh man, like, you know, I played guitar for like the first like 2 years, and then like I had to get a job.
Yeah, just
and it was
tapped out.
like, yeah, but why'd you stop playing guitar?
Yeah.
Like, you could have just kept playing guitar because
Yeah.
it's whatever, you know what I mean, or whatever it is. Like,
If it's not easy, a lot of people just
Of course.
quit. And another thing the negative thing, though, is it's like you work so hard. You want to prove all these people wrong. You finally get some success or things go your way or whatever. And it's amazing because half the people will be like, dude, that's awesome. Like, congratulations. You inspired me so much. And then the other half just hates you.
Yeah, it's gonna be
Because
one of two things.
you did what they couldn't do.
Yeah.
And it's really crazy because people who don't even know you are out there saying, oh, well, he's just an asshole. You know, and it's like, dude, you never even met me. Like, and then people who do know you are like, no, he's not. Yeah, not at all. But they just assume it, or they just start bashing you or whatever. I don't know if they're afraid, like, their clients or their girlfriends are gonna, you know, stop following. I don't know. It's a weird thing, but it happens so much. And I can just imagine you being local, staying local, but you're finally getting it. Like, you're finally like breaking through, and your dreams are starting to happen. Whatever.
Yeah.
It's like in your head, you're like, yes, my hometown is gonna rally behind me. But you probably deal with like those people who are like, fuck him. You know what I mean? Like, they just hate on you, and it's like, come on, dude, like, stop. And Piana dealt with that his whole life.
Oh my god.
You know what I mean?
Well, because
nobody got more hate than him.
Because he was like, the thing was, I did want to say, like, it's unfortunate for me because like I really wanted to meet him, and I felt like I was really close with like you.
Yeah.
And then Matt Morgan is another friend of mine too.
Oh,
and I was like really
Matt's
close.
awesome.
Yeah, he's cool. I felt like I was really close because Piana was such a trailblazer, and like he was like the first guy, one of the first guys, if not the first guy, to just bring like honesty to fitness. You know what I mean? And just you know what I mean? Like you're talking about, like putting yourself out there. Like, I mean, he just put everything out there. And it was awesome.
Yeah, we had the best time.
And like I said, so of course he's gonna get a lot of negative feedback from that. But you know,
I mean, hate beyond belief. Taking this match, dude, you wouldn't believe how much hate I got from like fans of arm wrestling and whatever.
Yeah.
Like, you go online, you start looking, and you're just like, what the hell did Frank ever do to these people? You know what I mean? But then other people started having fun with it, like Christian Duke from Muscular Development Magazine. He was like, let's just embrace it. Let's have fun with it. So he started putting out videos, just making fun of them, making fun of Devin, making fun of their god, their world champion, and saying, oh, poor Frank's going to break his arm. And then it really went crazy. But we had fun. We finally started having fun with it. You know what I learned to do? Stop reading comments.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You have to.
I've never
You-
never read a YouTube comment once.
I started, dude, and it was like, you reply to one, and then it becomes addicting. All of a sudden, now you're replying to like 200 people.
You want to know?
And you're like, what am I doing?
It
with
makes you
You're throwing
look like
fuel
an
on the
asshole.
fire.
Too. You know what
It
I
does.
mean? Like, because if like
does.
it just looks like you're like, and I always say this, like, too, like, especially in wrestling and music, it's vanity, like, for sure. Like, and I mean, obviously, like in bodybuilding, it's vanity,
of course.
So like, I remember having like friends that are literally in the WB. So you literally can't get bigger.
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean?
No higher.
You can't get bigger. Going like, oh my god, there's like these five people said this thing about me, and then you like look and like there's 250 fucking comments on there, and you're dwelling on the five negative ones.
Yep.
Go away.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
there's a kid who thinks you're a god. But you're worried about these.
And like
negative
that's the thing.
comments.
Like with music, like honestly, we put a record out, and like instantly, it's just like, yo, you guys don't sound like you used to, and it's like, okay, it's 2017.
One that's impossible.
Yeah, it's 2017, and like you're talking about a record that we put out in 1999.
Yeah.
Like
We changed a little bit.
Yeah. I'm a grown man. I'm 40 years old now. You know what I mean? Like, of course I'm not writing music.
Things are going to change
anymore, you know?
It's really weird what people write. But sometimes I think they just write it just because they want to get a response from you.
It. That's exactly it.
I think it's... I mean, I've seen it, especially with my wife and everything. They'll write you a really, really negative comment.
Yeah.
And if you come back at them, or if you say something back, they'll usually respond with something positive. They're just they want to get your attention.
Sometimes, and that has happened, but then sometimes it's almost like they got you. Yeah. And if someone sees that you responded to one, you'll get 100 that are like, okay, well, now I want his attention because, they have nothing to do while they're sitting in the room and mom's making the meatloaf.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, they're just like, they want to hear back from you, and all of a sudden, like, they feel important because they got your attention.
Yeah.
Whereas if you just stop, and because Rich told me at the Arnold, we hung out the whole time, and he's like, dude, stop replying to people on your page. He goes, honestly, he goes, if it bothers you, he goes, just get rid of your comments. Like, don't even allow comments, but don't reply to them because then you're going to be sucked into it, and why let them influence your day?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and like you said, haters make you famous.
Yeah. Like, you're just going to breed negativity.
Yeah.
It gets ugly.
Yep.
We talked about it a little bit on the way in, but I did want to talk about your gym you just opened.
Yeah. And, Elite Iron.
Is it North Tonawanda or Wheatfield? Kind of.
It is,
there?
dude. It is right on the border of like North Tonawanda, Wheatfield, and Niagara Falls.
Gotcha.
So the post office box, like our mailing address is Niagara Falls, but I tell people Niagara Falls and they start getting all shaky and nervous. It's right on the boulevard, right near Ward Road.
For those of you in Buffalo, Ward Road. What's the name of it?
Elite Iron Gym.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So Jim Costanzo, he started it in another location. He closed that one, and I met him, and we kind of worked together and came on this together, and we're bringing something a little bit different in Buffalo because I want to help people. First of all, it's a throwback.
Yeah,
to like the
I noticed that,
gyms,
which is cool.
You know what I mean?
Super cool.
Everyone's doing the same thing around here. Everyone's going fitness. Everyone takes the gym name off. Whatever. Yep. I want. If you remember, my brother and I sit around and we'd be like, why can't there just be a place like our basement? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's literally what we do.
Yeah.
Like half of the gym is in a basement. We have a literal cage.
Yeah.
Like there's a cage with bars and dumbbells going up to 200 pounds. And the cool thing is we ask no attitudes. Just be cool. Be cool.
Yeah.
We're going to do key fobs, so you can come in literally 24 hours a day. That's your gym. That's your basement.
That's really
all right,
cool.
So your mom didn't kick you out yet, and your stuff is still in the basement.
Yep.
Use it, clean it, police it yourselves.
Yeah.
We're just providing it for you. What you guys need, we will give to you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we're going to have arm wrestling, powerlifting, strongman. We got guys competing in the Highland Games today. We got guys throwing pitchforks in the backyard, and someone else is using bands inside, working on, whatever, flexibility or whatever. Yep. So it's really cool. We're going to have a mix. Men, women, I don't care. Just come in, use the gym, have fun, and, kind of build like a brotherhood, you know.
Are you guys, I think I saw it too, are you guys selling the 5% supplements in there?
Yeah, so we got a 5% store in there. We have other supplements also, but 5% is a little bit difficult to find. I mean, you can find some at some of the GNCs, but for the most part, it's a little bit difficult. So we have like a store, and with all my contacts and ties and whatever, I'm going to bring in personalities like pro bodybuilders. I'm going to bring in a lot of 5% people. Mm-hmm. Martin Ford's going to come in and do a video with me.
It's great.
All right, for the 5% website. And we're just going to have fun. I'm going to bring things that, obviously, I had Devin, world champion, doing a seminar. Right? Yeah, the next day on Sunday.
Yeah.
So I have, with everything I've ever been involved in, I'm bringing people to Buffalo, and for females too.
Yeah.
Female pro competitors and whatever. So these people around here can stop listening, and I don't want to bash anyone because then, everyone's going on a tirade on me. But there's a lot of people around here that want to compete.
Yes.
Right? So they look to someone at the gym and they're like, oh, well, so-and-so did the Mr. So-and-so locally 500 times. So they obviously know what they're doing.
That guy's in shape, yeah.
So then no one ever gets anywhere.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
they're all the same level.
Yes, and that is what is stopping this area from growing, I think.
Yeah.
All right, and because I've been vocal about that, I think, sometimes people frown on me or whatever, but I went out of the area.
Yes.
And that's what led to my success.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right. Well, I'm going to bring people from other areas here, whether it be bodybuilding, powerlifting, arm wrestling, figure for girls, whatever.
Which is huge.
And I'm going to let these pros do seminars here.
Yep.
And really tell people how to really do it.
Yeah, like you said, instead of just like people who just done local stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
and
a whole different...
Martin, he's an actor, right? So he used fitness to his advantage, and he's getting into movies, a ton of movies. Just filmed one with Batista, right?
Nice.
So he's going to come here, and I'm going to have a seminar where it's like, all right, who works out and looks good and whatever, really wants to know how to break into movies. Mm-hmm. All right? I know I want that seminar.
Yeah.
That's a dream of mine.
From a guy who's doing it.
From a guy who's doing it.
Yeah.
Who's going to break it down and really be real about it.
Yeah.
And maybe pass on some contacts. And that's what we're doing. We're having, remember Bloodsport?
Yep, sure do.
Frank Dukes. So I met Frank Dukes last year.
Uh-huh.
Frank Dukes is the real guy that Jean-Claude Van Damme,
played.
Kind of played. He still holds world records, fastest knockout, in a Kumite and all that stuff. So he's going to come down, all right, he's going to talk.
Yeah.
He's coming. So you guys probably don't even know. You guys probably don't even know this, but September 23rd, we're having the Buffalo Film Festival here.
Yeah.
All right. So he's coming for the film festival because he still does movies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The president of the Academy Awards is going to be here in Buffalo.
Really?
Oh, shit.
Yeah. The guy who runs it, awesome guy.
Yeah.
Maybe not the best with marketing because nobody knows.
Like you
about
say,
it.
the fact that we didn't know that, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to start throwing it on my page. I'm going to help them with a Facebook page and whatever. It's a little bit last minute, but for the future, he wants to build it to make it really something. And it's right on the border of Buffalo and Canada, the United States and Canada. So someday it's going to be enormous. But I mean, for the president of the Academy, awards
to be in Buffalo, New York,
and Frank Dukes, everyone knows Bloodsport.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
man.
And we want to. I diversify myself all over the place.
Yeah.
I want to just bring
especially for the
a lot
city,
to
man,
Buffalo.
it's great.
So anyways, Frank Dukes is going to be there. I got a whole list of people I want to bring. And, you even said, today that Luger's back in town. I wouldn't mind bringing him out there, see if he can.
Before he got here, he's like Luger, he's like, does he live in Buffalo? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, what the fuck, man? Like,
yeah. My friend wrote me, he's like, dude, I'm at Starbucks. I'm sitting next to Lex Luger. And I'm like, well, talk to him. He's like, I don't want to bother him. I'm like, dude, get him online. Like, I'd love to bring him out to the gym and have him talk to him. The only thing I've seen was like the 6 o'clock news did like a little piece on him.
Yeah.
And that was about it.
That's so wild.
Yeah.
I mean, for us who are huge wrestling fans, one of the biggest wrestling names ever.
All time.
Yeah,
ever.
It's a total pack.
And I was telling you, in the 90s, when I was out in at the Olympia, I stopped at his gym, that main event gym that he had with Sting and Lex Luger.
Yeah.
That's
Awesome
kind of like the
gyms.
Planet. That's like the Planet Hollywood of like wrestling gym.
Right? Yeah,
for sure.
Sting and Luger.
Yeah. I mean,
Absolutely.
I would love to have him at the gym and just talk to some of these guys that, like you said, your guy over here wants to get into wrestling
Kevin,
or whatever.
Yeah.
Have guys that are like up and coming. Have them, kind of point them in the right direction.
Guys who've done it. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Yeah, not just
guys who have been there.
Yes. Yes.
And we have to support these guys. You watch movies like The Wrestler and stuff, and that's real life. Like that's what's happening to these guys.
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
And as a city and a community, like we need to get behind these guys and get them something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Let their attention keep going.
Yeah.
Shit.
For sure.
He deserved it. All the fun and excitement he gave us when we were kids. If I can do something to help this guy, kind of relive it. Yeah. Absolutely.
Slam Yokozuna, man.
The body slam challenge.
Yeah, right. I mean, right?
I remember I was at my aunt's house, and I couldn't find it on TV anywhere. I know it was on TV. Did you watch it live? Do you remember?
You were scrambling.
I couldn't. I remember I just couldn't find. It wasn't on like a normal channel.
No.
It was on something weird.
It wasn't on like USA.
No.
It was like WIPX or something. Remember
like
that weird?
Yeah.
Because I had the cheater box, like
Yeah.
the first cheater box ever, with like 700 controls going and the dial to try to tune it in. And
Beautiful.
And I caught part of it like through like wavy lines.
Like at the Crush was my guy at the time.
Of course.
And I
it
remember
was.
Crush kind of got him up. And then,
Yeah.
but didn't like, and then I think Yokozuna hit him, and I was
Yeah.
like super pissed.
Yeah.
And then I talked to Neil, my best friend. I called him, and he was like, "Dude, it was over." And then like he flew in on a helicopter, I think.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "He's not the narcissist anymore." He just came in and slammed him, and I was like losing my mind.
Yeah.
And he lives in Buffalo again now.
Yeah.
So shit.
Crazy.
But say doing stuff in Buffalo, like Andy's band. They do a Christmas show every year in Buffalo at the end of the. You guys always end the tour.
Yeah, always,
right?
it's always just like end of the year. Sometimes it'll be like a couple days after a tour or something. It's usually like the last week leading into Christmas. So like we usually do it like the 18th or like the 21st, like in that area. And this year we're doing it on the 16th at the Riverworks.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
Yeah, we're gonna
that's
do
awesome.
like I said, and like Andy, like for 10 years now, literally, he's always been saying like I want to do a rock.
I was just thinking that.
Rock and
That would
wrestling
be
show.
awesome.
We're doing it
Yeah.
on December 16th.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's
100%.
booked at Riverworks.
Oh, I'm there.
It's
Yeah.
gonna be great.
So
Oh, that's awesome.
Like I said, just trying to do more stuff in the city. Like,
Yeah.
Not to and
Hell yeah.
I mean, I know you've come to like some like local like wrestling events
Yeah.
too. Like there's ESW in this area,
Yep.
and I mean not to downplay it at all, but it's a problem when sometimes I tell people about it and they're like, oh, I didn't even know there was wrestling in the city. Like it's been around for 10 years.
I try to do the same thing.
So we're
and
trying
I
to-
say it to people, and they just.
Yeah.
One of the
Yeah.
best times I ever had locally in Buffalo was where'd you have the show? It's Mooney's now. It's Mooney's
Yeah,
now. It was
yeah,
on
yeah.
Main Street. That
Oh,
bar
geez.
that had the big tent in the back.
That was
It was
like
Legends
a legend
of
show.
Wrestling.
Yeah, because Goldberg was there.
One of the best times I've ever had
Yeah.
ever
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
Buffalo.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm talking to Goldberg. Goldberg's talking to me. Scott Steiner calls me over. He's like, how big are your arms? I'm like, Scott Steiner.
Yes.
Scott Steiner is asking me
yeah.
how big my arms are.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you were awesome there.
I wrestled Coco Beware.
Yeah. Dude, that was. But that's what I was thinking. That bar always brought bands, and I remember that day
Yeah.
thinking to myself, why aren't there bands playing like as wrestling's happening?
It's
And-
so
Yeah.
it's a weird thing. I always talk about it. It's like it's a weird thing because whenever the two are together, one is an afterthought of the other.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Crazy.
And it sucks that there's never. It's not like, hey guys, this is something that's happening here that's just as good as that.
Yeah.
Like let's pay attention to both.
100%.
So this year we're gonna try to do it where it's like the wrestling event is like there leading into the music.
Yeah.
Where like it hits zone time.
Okay.
That's not competing against anything. It's like here and then like at 6 o'clock band start. You know what I mean?
Very
so
cool.
like 1 to 5 or something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
So the wrestling get the crowd kind of going.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Get a few drinks
Oh, yeah.
into them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then by the time you guys come on, people
Oh,
are
it'd be
just
insane.
nuts.
Another thing that helped is like
That's
like,
awesome. I'm there for
like
sure.
Andy's been wrestling for a while now.
Yeah.
So like, you know, and that's the thing too. So a lot of like the fans that are there to see the bands, they're obviously gonna want to see him wrestle
Yeah.
too.
That's
so.
super cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I've never wrestled in Buffalo. Like the first time I'll be wrestling in Buffalo.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's so
Crazy.
cool.
So,
Yeah.
which same thing. Like we're trying to do, but I think that's to rewind for a sec. Like I think that's been like, you know, the ESW shows are out in North Tonawanda.
Mm-hmm.
That show you were talking about was out in like
Main Street in Clarence.
I think
Yeah,
it was, like,
Alden. It was even
yeah.
further. Yeah.
Like, you know, like Riverworks.
Horribly marketed.
Yeah.
Because I found out about it that day. And I
Yeah.
got in the car and I was like, yes.
Yeah, fucking Goldberg is there. What the fuck? Like, so now, like, you know, now for us, December 16th, Riverworks, it's downtown Buffalo. It's I haven't been there yet. I don't know
Yeah.
how. It's supposed to be
Let's
fucking
go this
amazing.
I hear it's amazing.
Yeah.
I hear
go this
Riverworks
way.
is amazing.
I heard it's, that whole canal side.
So is this
really
affiliation
amazing.
or is this you're just doing it?
It's the Every Time I Die Christmas show. It's basically being put on by ESW, the local.
Okay, so it is.
And,
Okay.
and the school I was talking about, Grapplers Anonymous, is a school in Buffalo.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're all working together, put on a kick-ass show.
Well, you know what? Send me a bunch of stuff. I want to throw it on my pages too.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and,
I mean, there's
and let's
anything
get,
you want to do,
I mean,
too. If
let-
there's something you can come up with. I mean, if you want to set up a fucking arm wrestling thing there, like you were talking about, please do.
I don't want to. I wouldn't want to take too much away from the two things that are already there.
He's
But
trying
I-
to book
but-
a whole
but
day.
I'll tell you what.
We're trying to do a whole day.
I wouldn't. I'd love to actually be involved.
I knew.
To tell you the truth.
Please.
Yeah. I would
Yeah.
actually love to be.
Yeah.
Get right in there.
We
So.
We can definitely think of something.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that'd be real fun, and let's really pump it out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
that's the
not
idea.
one of those things where people are like, oh, well, I heard about it tonight, right?
Yeah.
Like,
That's,
like get it like ahead of time. And
They just announced the actual
Yeah.
Every Time I Die Christmas show.
well, the news is gonna carry my story because they want my my whole story and whatever. So, give me some information. Let's get it right on the news so that people start hearing about it. And you guys see me on the Instigators?
No.
Yeah, I was on the Instigators. The Buffalo Sabres. Show.
Yeah.
So they had me on
no,
there.
I did see a picture of that.
Yeah, they had me on there live. All right, so I think they're going to pull me back so I could talk about what happened and how I kind of shocked the world and whatever. So we'll mention it to them too and see if we can't get some of the Sabres to support it and come out.
Thanks,
and
man.
That'd be awesome.
Because it doesn't seem right to me that, I mean, WWE is so huge. I mean, it sells out in 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Like in Buffalo, but yet no one's supporting the local. Because they don't know about it.
Exactly.
It's not because it's not interesting, because it's awesome. I love going to your shows.
And
they're amazing, but no one knows about it.
90% of the comments I get too is like, if somebody, like you say, if you brought your kids, like if they go to a WWE show, it's this big production, and it's great, but then they come to the local shows, and it's like it's right there in front of their face, and then
my
wrestlers
kids
are walking,
still talk about
they're
you.
they're walking around at intermission. They can meet, it's like it's a lot more intimate, basically. They can tell the wrestler to shut up, he'll turn around, tell you to shut up. Like, you know what I mean?
It's pointless.
That's what
for me.
want.
It's pointless to go to a WWE show, really, compared to doing the local, because when you have young kids, especially. The interaction, like you'll turn right around, you'll start talking to kids and whatever, and they all do. My kids remember you, but at a WWE show, there's so much for them to look at. They're staring at the lights.
Yeah.
And, I'm thinking to myself, I just spent $400 on these freaking tickets.
Come on now.
Like, the ring's over there. You know what I mean?
It's a different
But at your
feel.
show, it's amazing. You know? So,
the feel is
that's
completely
cool.
different.
It's totally different.
We have some buddies in Toronto that have a show, and they do shows where you can make a big deal out of something that doesn't hurt us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they have a way to like actually make the ropes chain. And I
that's
remember
cool.
them like talking about it. It's like, yo, man, you can like actually hit the ropes. Like they're normal ropes, but they're chains, and like it hurts a little bit.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll like pinch you, but it's not like that. It's not much different than a normal rope.
Yeah.
And he goes, the reason why we do it that way is that people can walk up and they'll be like, oh, it's not real chain. And then they touch the chain and they're like, oh, shit, that's really chain.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, even though it's not unsafe, or it's not it's very safe, people still touch it and go, dude, there's chain there.
Yeah.
And like that's like
it's a
the
totally-
one thing
totally
where like
different vibe.
when you talk about like WWE, you can go to WWE. It's almost like seeing the Rolling Stones.
Yes.
Which is like cool.
Yep.
You're in your seat. You're very protective. But there's nothing like going to see Pantera or like something where you're like in it and it's like, or Slayer or something like that where like you're like, oh shit.
Yeah, you're really in it.
You know what I mean? Like fuck.
When I used to go see the Ramones back in high school.
It's
like,
that was what I was gonna say.
the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Perfect
just
example.
like a whole different feel where you're like, they're right there.
Yep.
Like I'm seeing these dudes right here.
Yeah, and the crowd's
And,
driving.
I'll tell you, if you mix the music with the wrestling, you could really get a cult following locally, especially from like Buff State and colleges and stuff. They just don't know about it.
Exactly.
You got to open up your
It's
mind.
got to be marketed right.
I was a ref for Stick Fighting World.
Yeah. Right, but and you were, I mean, like, you plugged the shit out of it.
I do everything.
Yeah,
I'm all over the. That was one of the coolest shows that I've ever taken part of. That was up in Canada. We had it in an old church in an Asian rundown town.
Yeah.
So there were, like, no joke, there were boards on the windows and a hooker across the street. Like, I pulled up, I was like, roll them up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the hell's going on right now?
Yeah.
I go in and they had like we had a plexiglass, like, stage or whatever, cage. It was the coolest. It was packed.
Yeah.
Like, they always say, like, people were hanging from the rafters. People were literally hanging from the rafters. Like, everywhere. Upstairs, downstairs. It was packed. Brought in a fortune. Brought in so much, attention and whatever. Canada shut it down.
What exactly was it?
So it's MMA with weapons.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
Yeah. So as a ref, I had a weapon in case I had to break them apart, which I did. In case I had to save someone's life, which I did. They did have like these helmet things, but still, you get hit in the head, you're rocked. You're rocked.
Yeah.
The coolest thing ever. Just ever.
I mean, that sounds insane.
Yeah, it was amazing. And then John Lehman, John Lehman. So he was all into like, or Asian, arts and healing and whatever. So people were beat up so bad, he's like doing the cupping on him right there to prevent. One guy's like, okay, you got to do the cupping because my wife's going to kill me because she told me not to do it tonight. You know what I mean? Like, this guy was just mauled. He was just beat to shit. But the fans, it was like Coliseum days. Like, the gladiators were just killing each other, and these people were like rabid. It was amazing. So, needless to say, Canada was like, no. Yeah. So then they tried to call it entertainment instead of sport, but still they were like, we're not stupid. No, you need doctors there, and no doctor's going to do it. It got licensed in one state in the United States, and right now it's New Jersey. Yeah. But the bad thing is, New Jersey has some funny laws and some people who write the laws, if you know what I mean. Yeah. And the New Jersey State Athletic Commission was like, well, we're going to take control of it, and we're going to tell you what you can do and what you can't. We're going to give you our refs, who are MMA refs. So I would have been left out. So then they're going to make me like weapons master or something stupid like that. Yeah. It just, New Jersey... I mean, nothing against anyone in New Jersey.
No, I know the commission there.
Yeah, the commission there, they wanted everything. They saw something there, and they're like, if you're going to make money, we're going to make more. Yeah. You know what I mean? Gotcha. So of course. The owners were so now it's kind of been put on the back shelf. So like my extra weird thing to do is kind of out. So you guys need someone, you let me know. Whatever you need, I'm there.
What was the, the first thing you told me about, there was a documentary on Showtime last night.
Awesome.
What's it called? What was it called again?
Tough Guys.
Oh fuck! I saw the. I
figured he would know about it.
My mentor is Dan Carr. Right? So Danny Carr in the late 70s, early 80s he was a world champion arm wrestler. Yeah. Right. Back in the day, probably like 23-inch arms, which was unheard of.
It was in the 70s.
Just unheard of. Hogan lied about his 24-inch pythons. They weren't even close. But Danny Carr really did have it. He had some club affiliation. You know what I'm saying?
Motorcycle
he was the badass of badasses in Erie, Pennsylvania. Yeah. You know what I mean? Right now he runs what is it? Is it called Triple D?
It's the Dudley's wrestling school.
Yeah, in Florida. Yeah. So he helps guys. He was helping guys get into WWE and TNA and all that stuff. Awesome guy, just amazing. So they talked about the early days of before UFC. Yeah. So had these guys not gotten screwed, I don't want to ruin it because you gotta watch it. Yeah. But had these guys had a 15-year jump on the UFC. Yeah. And they were packing houses, and guys were getting paid like $10,000, which back then was a ton of money. Yeah. They said, all right, by the time they got to like their finals or whatever, the winners were making more than NFL athletes.
That's awesome.
So at the time. Yeah. Amazing documentary. And he's in there, dude. Danny.
You said
what is Danny? Danny's, yeah, Danny's in his 70s. So he trained Mad Dog, who was one of the finalists, right? And he was very, let's just say, protective of him. You know what I'm saying? So when they ruled against him, he like went crazy, right? Yeah. Well, there was this one old ref who kind of talked a little bit of shit about Danny. So the camera goes on Dan. He's like, "He fucking said that about me?" Yeah. He's in his 70s, dude. He's ready to throw down, right? So they start talking. Yeah, he legitimately got paid. He's like, all these years. He goes, I thought he was a good guy. I'm going to fuck him up. Right? So Danny's still Apache Dan. That's what he goes by. Just an amazing guy. But you got to watch the documentary. Yeah.
I mean, as soon as I saw it, I was like, the one I'm obsessed with like old British hard guy stuff, like Lanny McLean and dudes like that.
Bare knuckle.
Oh, yeah. And like the governor, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like that type of stuff. I read a few books about it, and then when I saw that, I was like, oh shit. Yeah. One of my like favorite stories, like Lenny McLean stories, is he was supposed to fight Mr. T in New York City. Really? And he was supposed to fight Mr. T in New York City in the basement of Planet Hollywood, to go back to Planet Hollywood. And like Sylvester Stallone, Bruce Willis, this is on like his Wikipedia. Bruce Willis, Arnold Schwarzenegger paid for Lenny McLean to fly over and fight Mr. T in the basement of Planet Hollywood, and it was invite only.
Wow. Really?
And I think there was only like 25 people there. So Lenny McLean showed up. Mr. T couldn't go because he was like filming, I think, he had to go film for Rocky, and I think Sylvester Stallone was trying to like save him
Oh.
for it. There's some story. So they get the second best doorman in New York to like fight this dude. Lenny McLean goes down, throws one punch, knocks him out in like 7 seconds or something like that.
That's awesome.
And then gets to hang in New York City for the night, and then flies back to England.
Dude,
and like,
that's
if you don't know
amazing.
who Lenny McLean is, Lenny McLean at the end of in the movie Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, there's a big grizzled old guy that watches out for the Russian. And that's Lenny McLean. He's like this big old, and you can watch his fights. He has old unsanctioned boxing fights where like at one point in time, if you wanted someone's territory, instead of, because there's no guns in the UK, there's like very few guns in the UK.
Yeah.
If you wanted that guy's territory and you wanted his business, you would go there, you'd go in the street, you would fist fight, and whoever won would have the territory. And that's what the governor title was. And it was a guy named Roy Shaw before it was Lenny McLean.
You've told me about Roy Shaw before.
And then they basically would have to throw the old like, hey, look over there type of thing, where like they would publicize a fight, an unsanctioned boxing match in one place.
Yeah.
The cops would go there to be it, but it would actually be at this other place.
Oh.
And like you can watch these if you type Lenny McLean versus
Like on YouTube, they're on
Roy
there?
Shaw. The fights are on there, like Lenny McLean versus like the king of the gypsies at the time, where like the guy comes up and just nuts him in the nose with his fucking head. Lenny McLean gets
amazing.
pissed off, knocks him out with one punch, and just stomps him. I mean, Lenny McLean was huge. He was like 6'6" and probably like 300 pounds.
For real?
Looked kind of like the Mountain, like
Yeah.
from Game of Thrones. The guy was a beast, and
Yeah.
like. Who's gonna fuck with that? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So like, if you can, Lenny McLean, you can do Lenny McLean versus and then unsanctioned boxing match. And like,
That's the there's that documentary on Netflix about the gypsies too.
oh yeah,
Knuckle, is that it?
Yeah, Knuckle.
Because the gypsies, like the one headed would fight the other one,
Yeah.
or if the families were
There's
fighting
also
or something.
the guy who did oh god, I can't think of the name of the movie right now. But Shane Meadows is the director. Did a 15-minute documentary about this guy named. It starts with a B. His last name's Gorman, and he was like the original King of the Gypsies. And that guy, it's a 15-minute short documentary about the original, like the hardest King of the Gypsies, where like his dad or his great grandfather was a King of the Gypsies, his grandfather was a King of Gypsies.
Oh, okay.
His dad wasn't, and then he
Took it over again?
over.
That's awesome.
And he has like a story of like going and fighting this other gypsy. And it was basically just like his clan versus their clan's money. They would
Yeah.
just come up with like money, and then he would go fight them. And then they actually they beat him down, like they like jumped the guy, shoved a pipe down his throat, and we're gonna hit it with a hammer.
Oh.
And while that was going on, a guy had a saw and was sawing his shin.
Oh.
Like this is happening, and then he like got out of it, fought, and he like pulled the fucking pipe out of his fucking mouth. His voice is all messed up, but he's like, dude, like you said, like Dan Carr, like he's like 7 years old, hitting a bag, like a heavy bag,
Yeah.
and like he starts hitting like just to get the bag moving, and then when he starts going, you're like, I would never want to get punched by that 70-year-old.
Yeah, not my
Like-
life.
Because his knuckles are probably, and
Oh.
those guys were talking about that. Their knuckles are fused.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have one fused, but
Yeah.
their knuckles are just fused to
It's
their hand.
Fucking wild.
You know, back in the day, you remember the Tough Man contest that used to
Yes.
be around Buffalo?
Oh yeah, yeah.
There were some guys that were in that, dude. They would come to the gym, and I would just watch them punch the cage, like punch the wall or
Yeah.
punch like the squat rack or whatever. I'm like, what the fuck is this guy
Yeah.
doing? And old fighters back there and be like, dude, he's seasoning his knuckles. They're pushing their knuckles right into their hand, so it's fused.
Right.
So it's like getting hit by a brick. And I'm just like, oh, cool. You know who's trying to bring that? Lehman was trying to bring bare knuckle to Buffalo.
back?
Yeah, but
There's
he
no
couldn't
way.
get anyone
Get
to do
sanctioned.
it. Well, you'd never get sanctioned, but he also couldn't get
Wasn't
anyone
too
that
worried
wanted to do it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, around here, you know, who's gonna?
Yeah, you want to get your face mauled? Yeah. Dude.
He's like, Frank, would you be into it? I'm like, no, dude. I go, if I'm funny, I'm funny for a reason. Now.
Yeah.
Too old for that shit.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Anything else? No. You sweating, Frank? You okay?
I'm good.
What's you want to do
It's really
your
hot.
social medias? What do you got for Instagram?
Yeah.
Yeah, so social media, I got Instagram at Ask Big Frank. So that's like the main one. Also Ask Big Frank on YouTube. I'm just starting my YouTube channel. Enough people have been on me about it, you know. So I got
Smart.
some fun stuff on there. my kids, I think, are getting almost as much attention as me. Everyone, I got 2 sets of twins, and
As your kids are
they're
hilarious.
hams. Yeah, they're hams.
And like they just think you're like a god.
They do.
It's cool to see.
We're super close. I'm like that dad who wanted to actually be a dad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm just so close with my kids, and you saw him on stage.
I was gonna say the best was
after
when-
Devin pulled off the
best-
second one, they attacked him.
When he,
on stage,
when he was arm
hilarious.
wrestling, his kids were just like they all had his shirt on, and they're all at the front of the stage just shit talking him the whole
Yeah,
time. Just
the whole
screaming.
time.
Yeah.
My kids are some tough kids. They've been in MMA and wrestling and everything. I mean, since they were all 3 years old. Even my daughter.
Yeah.
My daughter's gonna be. I'm gonna put it on record right now. She will be a world champion arm wrestler.
Yeah.
Because she has taken to it.
Yeah.
And when I go to Erie to learn, she jumps right in there. She
awesome.
loves it more so than the boys. So I'm just super close with the kids. So we do little videos and we do our feats of strength stuff. So that's when I squeezed the beer can, or I ripped a phone book in half, and the kids
Yeah.
were there going crazy over it.
crazy.
So, yeah, they're all into it. So ask Big Frank on Instagram, ask Big Frank on YouTube, and Frank Budelewski, my name. On Facebook, but I'm maxed out there, so
Yeah, I was gonna say, I
that
guess
doesn't do anyone any good. Every once in a while, I try to drop some people off.
Understood, man. Honestly, Frank, thank you for doing this.
Oh, dude, it's
I know-
my
I know you're
pleasure.
busy,
Yeah,
man,
it's an
so I really
honor,
appreciate
dude.
you coming in, man.
So cool.
Yeah, what a way to meet someone too. So
Yeah.
nice to meet you, brother. Yeah, that's
Thank you,
cool,
Frank.
and you always.
You're the
Yeah.
man. Want to hit with the closer?
Yeah, sure. The heat's in the ring, brother.
Thanks, guys. Next time.
Yeah.